You're not going to be a dictator, are you? I said, no, 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 other than day one.
Donald Trump has successfully moved the Overton window in a way that is as dangerous for the future of democracy in this country as anything else.
This is what Vout and Project 2025 wanted.
Newsom is he's daring Tom Homan to come and arrest him. Should he do it? I would do it if I were Tom. I think it's great.
They control the Congress, they control the White House, and they control the courts. And so, of course, they're massively overreaching. And yes, they are getting away with it right now.
This is clearly a man who cannot tolerate criticism of him or what he does, which is exactly what authoritarianism is all about.
The New York Times is just as fake as CNN and MSDNC. They really are the enemy of the people.
What he is saying, rather bluntly, if you stand up to Donald Trump, he will punish you.
Protesters in Philadelphia, state capitals in California, Minnesota, Michigan, Texas, Wisconsin, Indiana, and others showed up to oppose Trump, Musk, and Project 2025.
US and President Trump has overseen America's largest military parade in decades as nationwide protests take place against his leadership.
Demonstrations are happening right across the United States today to oppose the Trump administration.
Two visions of America. On a day the country's deepening divide was there for all the world to see.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. I am your host, Jeff Waldorf, and you're watching Logically Left. And I've got a lot of really important stories to talk about today. We have more corruption in the Trump regime, the Department of Justice dropping these antitrust cases, firing people who are trying to go after these big companies to break them up. What little trust busting there was is no longer happening. That sucks. And then we have the Trump Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, basically admitting, the changes that we have made, turns out it's a backdoor way to try to destroy Social Security, to privatize it, hand it over to Wall Street. Great. We have a MAGA guy who, unsurprisingly, he's like, hey, look, I voted for Trump to go after child traffickers. I care about the children. Turns out, no, he was caught with lots of child sexual abuse material. Shocker. The call's coming from inside the house, everybody. No surprise there. We have health insurance companies looking to raise your prices, the premiums, in some places by even 66%. So, get ready for health insurance to cost even more than it already does. Absolute disaster. And then, of course, we have the gerrymander wars that are happening now. Texas it got a new map that is massively favorable to Republicans, and now you have blue states or other red states that are looking to do the same, but also blue states that are like, oh yeah, if you're going to gerrymander, then we're going to gerrymander. And then pretty much every state is going to be gerrymandering at this point, even more so than they already do now. So not good. So those are the stories. I'm going to get into detail in all of these. There's plenty of details. So that's what we're going to do. Please, if you haven't already, like and share the stream. Very important that you do so. Helps me out greatly. Helps out the channel. Helps out the show. With that said, why don't we dive into the first story? Pam Bondi giving her former employer a return on their investment. Because that's what it's about now. It's about the grift. All right. This week, the Trump Justice Department decided to drop an antitrust case that was going after a giant company. this giant company happened to hire the former, former lobbying firm that Attorney General Pam Bondi had worked for. So this company hired that firm to represent them in this case, and now that case has gone away. Drain the swamp? Not really. No, we're not doing that whole thing anymore. I mean, not that we ever really did that at all. In fact, we made it more swampy, and we actually filled the swamp with even more monsters. Oh, awesome. According to federal disclosures, American Express Global Business Travel, or Amex GBT, had paid the lobbying giant Ballard Partners hundreds of thousands of dollars this year to pressure, I know, pressure, right? Bondi's Justice Department on antitrust issues. Is it really, is it really pressure, or is it a bribe? Because it sounds like a bribe. It's exactly what it is. And again, it worked. It worked. It turns out bribing people is very effective at getting what you want. According to a report in Common Dreams, the DOJ's decision to drop this antitrust lawsuit, which was initially filed during the final days of the Biden administration, allows Amex GBT's acquisition of rival CWT Holdings to move forward, despite some concerns that the merger would harm competition in the travel management sector. Yes, you know the people that were like, we support competition and free markets. Turns out those people don't exactly believe in free markets. Yeah, shocker. Wow. Now, that said, obviously, this is going to help their profit margins. So Bondi's like, merge away. At least her department is. I know they're claiming that she didn't have anything to do with this. Okay. Yeah. I totally believe you on that one. Totally. Absolutely believe you. Yes, that's right.
Bullshit.
Okay. Look, experts openly called out what is obvious corruption. Lee Hepner, senior counsel for the Anti-Monopoly American Economic Liberties Project, said that the Justice Department's move was, quote, so corrupt. So corrupt. Yes, and urged observers to, quote unquote, follow the money. Yes, right into Pam Bondi's pockets. Wow. Now, Joe Gollinger, a democracy advocate with Public Citizen, said last week that the American people deserve to know whether Attorney General Pam Bondi has been involved with her former firm's lobbying, and if the red carpet is being rolled out for these clients by the Department of Justice because of her former role at Ballard. Now, the answer to that, of course, is absolutely. That is exactly what's happening. Wow. Now, he said, quote, if Bondi has been involved with the Ballard team's lobbying, or firm's lobbying, she has likely violated the ethics pledge. Yeah, probably. Yeah, very, very likely. Okay, ethics pledge. To think that anyone in the Trump regime has any sort of ethics at all, I mean, you've got to be high or something, okay? To think they have any ethics, they don't. No, their ethics is, I'm going to get as much money as possible, because that to me is ethical, right? That's pretty much it. Basically completely distorting the actual definition of the word. Okay. Now, he said the American people deserve an attorney general who always puts the needs of their needs above the special interest agendas of former business associates. That's right. Now, this isn't the only example of the Trump administration, their DOJ dropping antitrust enforcement, which actually, look, there were a lot of cases that the Biden DOJ antitrust that they were actually going after. So I do got to give them some rare credit for that. Okay, Lena Khan at the FTC, by the way, she was very good with trust busting. This administration, not so much, which again shouldn't shock anyone. Now, last month, the DOJ settled a merger case with Hewlett Packard Enterprise and Juniper Networks. So now, that of course, look, that case, I mean, billions of dollars on the line. This had to do with, I believe, networks in colleges. And so there was a lot of money to be made. And so, yes, the DOJ is like, yeah, no, we're going to settle with that. Okay, but this is different, though. This one's different because there was no settlement. They just dropped the case at all. They just dropped the case completely. The American Prospect's David Dayen noted Tuesday that the DOJ's voluntary dismissal of the Amex GBT lawsuit means the case, unlike the Hewlett Packard Enterprise and Juniper settlement, does not have to face review under the Tunney Act. So what is that? For those who are not familiar with the Tunney Act, it basically allows a judge to hold evidentiary hearings, to call witnesses, to seek documents. Why? Well, basically, also to assess the Justice Department's conduct to show whether a settlement, any settlement the DOJ makes, is being made in the public interest. Okay, so now, how does settling or just dismissing the Amex case, how does this help the public's interest? It doesn't. It doesn't at all. That's the issue here. But it does absolutely help Pam Bondi's former boss. That's right. And Pam Bondi herself. Because, look, when she's done with this administration, you know, whether she gets kicked out, which I don't know if that's going to be the case, or whatever, she moves on, she's going to want to go somewhere. She's going to have to go somewhere to make money. Where better than the arms of her former employer? Okay, that's it. Now, getting back to the Tunney Act, Congress had passed this to prevent merger reviews from being swamped by massive amounts of lobbyist cash. So if you dismiss that case, well, then you don't have to undergo that review, and the money can keep flowing. And that's it. The Amex merger is exempt from the Tunney Act. No review will be conducted. No questions of whether Bondi allowed this to go through simply because she had worked for that firm. It's just, there you go. It's going to be approved. This entire thing, this entire situation, along with the fact that the DOJ had recently fired two of its top antitrust officials because they had opposed the HPE Juniper merger, makes it pretty clear who they're working for. And it ain't for the American people. Okay? In fact, Senator Elizabeth Warren, one of the leaders of the efforts to force sunlight into the administration's antitrust processes, said in a statement to the American Prospect, quote, Americans are already concerned that Trump could be making companies play political games for favors from his administration. Yeah, like mergers, like, for example, the Paramount merger. Paramount wanted to buy Skydance, and so they settled a case with the Trump administration by giving him $16 million and then firing Stephen Colbert. Oh, that wasn't part of that. Yeah, it was. Oh, come on. Like, y'all gonna sit there and let this regime gaslight us all? We know that it was political. It was all political. And again, I didn't even really care that much about Colbert's show. I didn't watch it. I think Stephen Colbert is a bit too establishment for me. Although I did like his character when he was on Comedy Central. You know, that I know it was a caricature of conservatives, but it was kind of on the nose. Okay, I enjoyed that character. Wasn't really a huge fan of the show, but obviously this is all political because he criticized Donald Trump. Okay, so there's that. Now, in a statement to the Prospect, a Justice Department spokesperson denied that Bondi had any involvement in the Antitrust Division's decision to drop the Amex case. To which David Dayen of the Prospect wrote, quote, smell of corruption has gotten bad enough that they're trying to shape the information environment. Yeah, basically gaslighting people and saying, no, this doesn't have anything to do with that. Well, what's your sources? Just trust me, bro. Oh, okay. Sure. Now, look, at the end of the day, we're in the swamp, and the swamp monsters are in control. Donald Trump, Bondi, Scott Besson, all of them. They're all rewarding their friends and, of course, coming after their enemies. That's the whole point. Now, Democratic administrations, of course, have had their own share of pay-to-play corruption. Absolutely. But the amount in this administration, the amount of corruption and grift under the second Trump regime, because remember, we already had one. We already had the first one, and that was full of corruption and grift too. But the amount that's happening now is even larger than it was before. The grift has gotten bigger. Okay, it's expanded. It is a black hole of grift. And that's really it. It's completely off the charts. Basically, what we're doing is we're living in an authoritarian corporate kleptocracy. And the only way to really truly end that is to ban all lobbying, all lobbyists, and to completely get all of the money, corporate and otherwise, out of our political system. It's only really the way to save the country at this point. Okay, moving on. Here we go. Pam Bondi is the clown? Absolutely. And not the entertaining kind. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent on Wednesday admitted that a provision in Republicans' One Big Beautiful Bill Act is really a mechanism for allowing the privatization of Social Security. And here we go. Now, speaking at a policy event hosted by Breitbart, Bessent touted the so-called Trump accounts. They literally have in the bill Trump accounts. Of course, because putting his name on something crappy is a Trump thing. Classic. Now, these accounts are available to all U.S. citizen children starting next July under the Big Beautiful Bill signed by the president earlier this month. In a way, he said, quote, "It is a backdoor way for privatizing Social Security." And there it is. He said that the Trump accounts consist of a one-time deposit of $1,000 from the federal government for all children born in the U.S. from 2025 to 2028. Parents and others will be able to contribute up to $5,000 per year until that child turns 18. Oh, wouldn't that be great if you could actually afford to put money in there? A lot of people can't. The reality is we are in the middle of a massive retirement crisis. It's not coming. It's already here. Only about half of all American households even have retirement accounts. That's it. And that's according to the Federal Survey of Consumer Finances. And according to research from labor economist and professor at the New School for Social Research, Teresa Ghilarducci, just 10% of Americans between the ages of 62 to 70 who are retired are financially stable. And that's why you're seeing a lot of people who are retired, who are elderly, going back to work. Most older Americans either are retired and live below the poverty line, or they can't afford to stop working. 1 in 2 people reaching retirement won't have enough, and 1 in 4 seniors are in poverty measured by international standards. Now, of course, you're going to get some idiots that are going to come in and say things like, oh, so why did you just save money then? So easy. Yeah, how can you do that if you don't make enough money? How do you do that when the costs for everyday things, housing, food, healthcare, continue to rise? I mean, and this is, wages haven't caught up. Okay, wages are stagnant. Wages continue to be too low for too many people. You can't save retirement. You can't save for retirement if you spend all of your money on the essentials that continue to cost more and more and more each year. That's the problem. Look, Ghilarducci also says that the retirement savings crisis is not the fault of individuals that, oh, you bought too much avocado toast or having too many lattes or whatever. No, it's the main driver of this is the fact that they got rid of guaranteed pensions and switched over to 401ks. That's it. You've got even the CEO of BlackRock, Larry Fink, whose company, by the way, is partly to blame for the rising costs of housing because they're buying up all this single, family housing and turning it around, renting it out, driving up the prices of homes. Even this guy is like, you know what? Maybe that 401k thing ain't so good after all. Maybe it's kind of a bad thing. He pointed out that 4 in 10 Americans don't even have $400 in emergency savings to cover, for example, a car repair or trip to the emergency room, let alone to save for retirement. Maybe once in a decade, he said, the U.S. faces a problem so big and urgent that government and corporate leaders stop business as usual. America needs an organized, high-level effort to ensure that future generations can live out their final years with dignity. Okay, yes, okay, I agree with that, but at the same time, perhaps, Larry Fink, you could stop being, I don't know, evil, okay, and actually help with that by not having your company buy up all the homes and drive up home prices. That would be great. I mean, you reduce the pressure of people, being, you reduce the cost of housing here, and you get rid of that pressure, and perhaps people will actually have some money left over to put into their retirements. That would help. Lack of affordable housing is one of the biggest reasons why people don't have money for retirement or really anything else. I know you were supposed to, and you get told this by, all these people, who are experts, okay, that are like, oh yeah, money experts, savings experts, whatever. You're not supposed to spend over 30% of your income on housing. That's pretty much impossible for so many people. Look, and you end up with a situation where a lot of people's only income after retirement would be Social Security. But guess what? Social Security, even right now, doesn't pay enough. And thanks to Trump's bill, it's going to run out of money sooner and start paying out less in like 10 years. So that's a crisis that Trump, through his one big beautiful bill, has made even worse. We could fix that by removing the cap, taxing rich people. But there is absolutely no political will in Congress because they're paid by these same corporations and same rich people. It'll never happen. And so even though the American people love Social Security, they want that cap to be lifted so that rich people can pay more and we can make it solvent for the end of time. But there is no political will because the same people who are paid by these companies refuse to do it. Yeah. And look, Trump's bill obviously hurt Social Security. And now Bessent is admitting that, yeah, that was one of the goals. We wanted to set up a back door to kill it. And there you go. Critics jumped in on this, of course. Nancy Altman, president of the advocacy group Social Security Works, said this, quote, "So much for Donald Trump's campaign promise to protect Social Security. First, he gave Elon Musk the power to gut SSA, which is having its own disastrous impacts. Now, Trump's Treasury Secretary said the quiet part out loud. He's bragging about the administration's goal to privatize Social Security. First, they are undermining public confidence in Social Security by making false claims about fraud, which is virtually non-existent. and wrecking the system's service to the public. Then, once they have broken Social Security, they will say that Wall Street needs to come in and save it. It's a terrible idea. I couldn't agree more. Unlike private savings, Social Security is a guaranteed earned benefit that you can't outlive. It has stood strong through wars, recessions, and pandemics. The American people have a message for Trump and Bessent: keep Wall Street's hands off our Social Security. There's more. Alliance for Retired Americans Executive Director Richard Fiesta said that Bessent let the cat out of the bag. The administration is coming for Social Security. Exactly. We're not surprised, but we are alarmed because this administration has already taken multiple steps to weaken and dismantle Social Security. And he highlighted of course, the weakening of the SSA, the false fraud claims, and the massive tax cuts to the rich and corporations under this bill that experts say will hasten Social Security trust funds insolvency. Accountable U.S. called Bessent's remarks a shocking confession, which I don't find at all shocking. This is something that we've known that they've been trying to do for pretty much the entire lifetime of Social Security. Republicans, conservatives, and business interests have been trying to kill it. Now it seems like they've actually found a way. Used to be the third rail, the sacred cow. Now they're coming after that cow. Okay? They got a shotgun. They're coming for it. Now, Accountable U.S. Director Tony Kark said in a statement, quote, despite their repeated claims they wanted to protect Social Security, the Trump administration said the quiet part out loud. The big ugly betrayal is a backdoor way to privatize Social Security. Once again, the administration is risking the financial security of millions of Americans in order to protect the system rigged in the favor of big corporations and billionaires. And that's it. That's who this administration works for. They work for corporations and the wealthy. They work for their donors. And here's the thing, okay? These companies will soon have a large pool of desperate seniors that will have to work to survive because they can't afford to retire. That's it. Obviously, that is going to make it harder for other people to get jobs. It's going to ensure that we have a race to the bottom when it comes to wages. And that's the ultimate goal, to save money on labor. Remember, taking away a dignified retirement is their way to ensure higher profits. And that's because the biggest expense for business happens to be labor. And at this moment, look, it looks like they're going to get it. This is the Gilded Age all over again. But this time with Bitcoin, AI, and an orange con artist that is running the government. Okay. Whew. Moving on. Yeah, socialism for the rich and rugged individualism for everyone else. Right. Here we go. A Trump voting MAGA guy who said that his vote for Trump in the 2024 election was to fight child trafficking is now being charged with 10 counts of possession of child sexual abuse imagery. Oh, because of course. Of course. It's always these people. Scott Susek of Sturgeon Bay, Wisconsin, was arrested on July 24th and accused of accessing hundreds of images of children being sexually abused through a file sharing system. In this case, apparently P2P means pedo to pedo instead of peer to peer. In a Facebook post last October, Susek listed 24 reasons why he planned to vote for Donald Trump. One of them was, "I'm voting to fight against human/child trafficking." Ah, of course. He added later in the post that he was not just voting for himself, but also for my children and my grandchildren. Of course. Yeah. Now, before that Facebook account was deleted, he also had posted consistently pro-Trump memes, as well as one accusing Joe Biden of groping kids. And there it is. Another case of an accusation being a confession. Now, also in April of this year, he had posted a rant about America being, quote, reclaimed, and warned that there was a slow, methodical storm rolling in from every side. Ah, there you go. The deep state is in free fall. Their networks are fracturing. Intelligence, finance, tech, media, all bleeding from every joint. Look, that's ridiculous, right? That storm, by the way, that he referenced, is probably a reference to QAnon, because they always talk about the storm. Oh, the storm, it's coming. And it wouldn't shock me to find out that QAnon, as we've already seen, there's a lot of this going on. They're infested with these people. Look, here's the thing about QAnon, right? I'm not saying all of them are into this stuff, okay, and are using QAnon to hide it. I'm just saying that if you are a pedo, you are more likely, in my mind, to see pedos everywhere. I mean, that seems to be how it works, okay? QAnon, who conveniently accuses all of their political enemies in Washington of being child predators and members of the LGBTQ community, drag queens, etc., they're the ones, funny enough, that actually are the predators themselves. A lot of them are. And their hero, right? Donald Trump. Who, he's going to expose them all. He's going to release the Epstein stuff. Oh, it turns out he didn't. Oops. Again, why would he? This is the guy who hung around with Epstein. He threw parties with Epstein. With, again, Epstein being the only guest. And then, of course, those parties also involved girls. Maybe some of them might have been on the younger side. And look, there's even discussion, a speculation that he's going to be thrown out of pardon to Ghislaine Maxwell. Already, in order to answer some questions, she's been given limited immunity. And there you go. And of course, add to that, all these faith leaders that prey on children. And yet, for some reason, the right wing keeps projecting onto gay and trans people and claiming that, yeah, see, those are people, those are they're grooming the kids. They're grooming the kids. When in reality, no, it's people like this. People like this guy. And that's the reality. Okay. Look, Susick has a long history of being into this stuff. In fact, more than 15 years before his posts, Door County investigators had analyzed his laptop. That's right. Yeah, always in the laptop. Okay. I mean, got to check the guy's hard drive. Oh, turns out they did. And when they did, he admitted, okay, so, yes, I've downloaded a whole lot of these images. And that was back in 2009. And what happened then? He was never charged with a crime. What? Yeah, never charged with a crime. Why? What the hell? What is going on here? I don't know. I mean, the new criminal complaint filed against Susick this month stated that it remains unclear why that 2009 investigation, where he admitted to downloading CSA images, they're trying to figure out why he was not referred to the local district attorney's office. And here's the thing. It might have something to do with his political connections. Shocker. Are you saying that the Republican Party actually defends and protects pedos? Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. His wife, Stephanie Susek, is the chairwoman of the Door County Republican Party. Oops. Last year, she had represented Wisconsin as a delegate at the Republican National Convention. Shocker. Stephanie had also posted a meme to her X account, which was deleted in July of 2024, suggesting that the Democrats believed that they were above the law and had been keeping secrets for Ghislaine Maxwell's clients. Oh, once again, the client list. Here we go. Accusations being confessions. Always. If Scott Susek is convicted, he could face up to 25 years in prison for this. And there you go. Turns out the call is coming from inside the house, as it always seems to in these kinds of situations. Again, never surprises me.
Whoopsie.
Never surprises me at all. Look, if you're actually really interested in finding where the child predators are, perhaps you should stop looking at Drag Queen Storing Hour and start perhaps looking at the churches and maybe looking at the most outspoken QAnon adherents. Because generally, where there's smoke, there's usually fire. There's a lot of fire here in the Republican Party. Oof. All right. But also family values. Exactly. Moving on. Bad news if you're a human being that may require healthcare one day, which would be all of us. Turns out health insurance is about to get even more expensive. According to a report in The Lever, the 6 largest health insurance companies, who combined made over $1 trillion in revenue and more than $31 billion in net income last year, are now pushing to raise Americans' health insurance premiums by as much as 66% for certain plans in certain states, according to recent state regulatory filings. Of course, proposed increases come as these same companies have been rewarding their shareholders with billions of dollars in stock buybacks and dividends. Yes, shocker. According to data compiled by the Kaiser Family Foundation, the ACA marketplaces across the country are projected to see the largest rate hikes in more than 5 years, driving up out-of-pocket premiums for individual plan policyholders by more than 75% on average. Now, obviously, that's going to have a devastating impact on the more than 24 million Americans who are not fortunate enough to have employer-sponsored health insurance. That's right. Now, look, a lot of people that work in certain industries, at least, have employer-sponsored health insurance, but there are a lot of people that don't. Okay, think of all the people working at Walmart. Those are the people that have to go on Medicaid. In fact, they are told to get on Medicaid, and those people also will likely be seeing a cut in benefits as well. And that's a different conversation, but still disastrous. Now, here's the funny thing about this. These companies are actually blaming Donald Trump. Now, specifically going after the on-again, off-again tariffs, but mainly the fact that his administration is actually killing federal premium tax credits. These companies say that ending those credits will significantly threaten their ability to remain competitive. I don't think that's entirely true. That will, of course, threaten their bonuses, and it's because they're doing this while denying claims, raising the price of prescription drugs, and, of course, raising the out-of-pocket costs for the people on those plans. And again, all while their profits, their shareholders continue to rise. Look, it's going to get to a point where even more people will not be able to afford insurance. I mean, look, currently more than half of those with health insurance point to the fact that at least 10% of their monthly spending goes towards their healthcare alone. Remember, about half of all Americans cannot afford a $400 emergency. And now you're raising the costs for them to go, for their healthcare. We're being squeezed. We're being squeezed and squeezed and squeezed by these industries while the top earners keep bringing home their massive bonuses. The Lever previously reported that the industry's top earners have actually raked in more than $371 billion in profits since the passage of the ACA, which again, the ACA was a massive corporate giveaway bill. Let me give you some examples. Elevance Health, which operates Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield, plans across 14 states, has proposed their average premium increase of more than 33% for individuals. They generated over $175 billion in revenue. That's nearly 8% increase from 2023. So far this year, that company has distributed over $1.2 billion to its shareholders through stock buybacks and dividends. The increases for the quarter and year were driven primarily by higher premium yields, the company stated in its recent earnings report. United Healthcare. Oh, yes, that United Healthcare. Their premium rates on the marketplace are also set to rise in some states. For example, in New York, the insurers proposed a rate hike of more than 66% for some policyholders. In Washington, they proposed a 37% rate increase. Meanwhile, United Healthcare's parent company, United Health Group, reported a revenue of more than $400 billion in 2024, 77% of which came from premiums, according to their company's earnings report. United Health Group has spent $9 billion on stock buybacks and $7.5 billion in dividends. That's despite the fact that they apparently had a rough year. Gee, I can't imagine why. Can't imagine what started that year. Maybe something to do with someone named Luigi. Player 2. Okay. Another company, Cigna, which requested a 29% average premium rate increase for individual ACA plans in Colorado, is rebounding after their weak 2024, generating $1.3 billion in profits in the first quarter of 2025, after putting up a $277 million loss at the same time last year. Despite their troubles, Cigna generated $3 billion in profit and spent $7 billion on stock buybacks, along with $1.5 billion on dividends. So there you go. They're buying back their own stocks, which inflates their own stock prices, which rewards shareholders, the people that have those stocks. So there's that. Now, finally, CVS Health, which acquired Aetna in 2018, said that they'll be completely leaving the ACA marketplace. There you go. Approximately 1 million people in 17 states will have to find more coverage. And this has been happening for some time. You've been having these health insurance companies that are leaving the exchanges. And so it leaves a lot of these people who do not have employer-sponsored plans. I mean, they're out of luck. Not going to be able to afford insurance anymore. Look, this is one of the reasons I kept warning about the ACA and why it was never going to work in the first place. It relies too much on corporate giveaways. And when those giveaways disappear, like, for example, Republicans get into power and they take those giveaways away, well, you end up having so many people that are no longer able to afford their health insurance. They'll have to drop their plans and they won't be covered at all. That's the problem. And again, this is all wild. This creates a death spiral in the health insurance markets. Look, they keep having to raise their costs or deny care, which they've been already doing. And yet they're doing all of that while continuing to shower CEOs and shareholders with more and more money in bonuses. And that's it. Obviously, the correct policy would be to provide health care to everyone. For example, a Medicare for all, universal healthcare system. That's the correct policy response. That would eliminate all of this. Get rid of the health insurance companies. They're parasites. Okay, you want to talk about parasites sucking off the system, sucking off the hardware working taxpayer. I know that sounded really bad, but you know what I'm saying. Okay. I didn't mean to go all,
sexual anarchy
on you guys, but they're parasites. They're ticks. They're sucking the blood out of every, person, every taxpayer to help their executives. And that's it. That's why we have to get rid of them. Okay. There are some things that should not be monetized and commodified. And healthcare is one of those things. Unfortunately, what we're stuck with right now, because of Republicans and yes, Democrats, is a system of wealth care. That obviously the only point of wealth care is to help the richest and most powerful corporations continue to make more and more money. There are more people paid to stop your treatment than there are doctors and nurses. And you know what, too? Most of the doctor's time is spent on the phone arguing with insurance companies. Doctor says, this person needs a test. And the insurance company says, no, we don't feel like paying for that. What are you talking about? That they need a test or they need a specific treatment. We disagree. Oh, where's your medical license? I don't really have one, but still, we just don't agree because it'll cost us too much. Our CEO needs another yacht. Oh, okay. And there you go. All right. Last story here for y'all. And it's not good. Bad news for those of you who believe that the midterm elections might save us from President Donald Trump. Now, you might be asking, wait, what do you mean? The elections are going to come, there's going to be a blue wave, and it's going to be great. I mean, isn't Donald Trump and his policies deeply unpopular? Haven't you been showing me polls showing how Trump is deeply unpopular? Yes. But unfortunately, Republicans expected Trump to be extremely unpopular. They already know how, unpopular their policies are with the American people. And so now they have been working on a plan to gerrymander the House so much that they will hold on to the House of Representatives despite their unpopularity. Great. Texas Republicans, for example, have released their new map, their new congressional map, on the urging of President Donald Trump, by the way, that would eliminate 5 House seats held by Democrats and create 5 new seats that will go for Republicans, of course. Now, how would it do this? It will do so by splitting 5 seats currently held by Democrats in and around the cities of Houston, Dallas, and Austin, and in the heavily Latino Rio Grande Valley. The elimination of those 5 Democratic seats and the creation of 5 Republican seats would cause a 10-vote swing in the GOP's favor, giving them a more comfortable cushion to hold on to control of the House. And so they're like, we might lose in other states, but guess what? In Texas, we've gerrymandered it so much that we're still in control, bitches. Oh, democracy. We never believed in that at all. No, we don't believe in voters picking their representatives, we believe in the representatives picking their voters. And we're going to, of course, pick the ones that are going to vote for us. I know. Now, the push to redraw Texas' congressional map came directly from the Trump administration. Harmeet Dillon, Assistant Attorney General from the Civil Rights Division, has sent a letter to Texas officials declaring that 4 Democratic-held districts violated the Voting Rights Act and had threatened legal action. Despite that claim being untrue, it had prompted Governor Greg Abbott to convene a special session to draw a new map, which again, shocker, favors Republicans heavily. Look, Trump basically admitted on July 15th that, I think we're going to get 5. Oh, you know what I'm saying? Referring, of course, to more Republican seats. Yeah, so he knows. So how does it do this? Well, in the Rio Grande Valley, the new map adds Republican voters to 2 seats currently held by Democratic representatives, Henry Cuellar and Vicente Gonzalez. Those seats will move from 52 to 50 and 53%, respectively, Trump voting districts to 55%, which pretty much guarantees you're going to have Republicans filling those seats. And it's not like Henry Cuellar is that much of a progressive. He pretty much votes with Republicans a lot, especially on fossil fuel stuff, but it's actually going to make it even worse. The other seats the map carves up are held by Democratic representatives Mark Veazey, Greg Kazar, Lloyd Doggett, and Julie Johnson. Kazar and Doggett would be forced to run in the same Austin-based seat under the new map, unless one of them decides to risk running in a less friendly district. And knowing a lot of Democrats, they probably wouldn't have the, let's say balls. Balls seems fair to run in a place where they're not guaranteed to win. They're very risk averse. Okay. So now the same could happen with Johnson and Veazey, as Johnson's Dallas-based district would effectively be handed over to Republicans, while Veazey's home base of Fort Worth would be removed from his current district. And it's not just in Texas either that they're doing this. Republicans are looking to expand their gerrymanders in both Ohio and Florida, which again would eliminate Democratic seats in both of those states. That right there is GOP 101. Creating maps that will disenfranchise Democratic voters and empower Republicans. Their goal, remember, is to perpetually stay in power. It's the same thing that they accuse the Democrats of doing. Oh, one party, or what? I'm sorry, what? Yeah, one party rule. One party rule. That's what you're doing. That's what you're trying to do. And you're actually doing it. So, once again, projection, right? And every accusation is a confession. Look, thing is, part of the blame falls on Democrats for also using gerrymandering to their advantage. They've created their own safe districts, okay, and have, in some cases, like, for example, New York, used it against progressives, the gerrymander, using their districts, redrawing their maps in such ways that 2 progressives will have to run against each other, which, of course, reduces the number of progressives that are serving in Congress, ensuring that the establishment remains firmly in control. They helped, and now they are allowing Republicans to have the chance to eliminate those Democrat seats too. And now they're doing it. Look, that said, it's not all bad news, okay? I know I've already painted a pretty bleak picture here, but there is a possibility, because Republicans are inept, that this could blow up in their face. I wouldn't bank on it, but there is a chance. Democrats and some redistricting experts do say that the new gerrymander could turn out to be what is called a dummy-mander. You might want to work on those names. Okay, I'm just saying. What does that mean? Well, that's when a gerrymander makes the seats of the party more vulnerable to maximize the total number of seats that they could win. Okay. How? Well, say in the situation that there is a strong anti-incumbent wave powered by an unpopular president. I mean, we currently do have a pretty unpopular president right now. That could end up making those seats come into play for the opposition party. The new map, by the way, also relies on Latino voters who went to Trump in 2024, who might not be happy about the current efforts of the, anti-immigration actions of this administration. I mean, a lot of people are not happy with what ICE is doing. They're saying that it goes too far in multiple polling, or multiple polls. But then again, I don't know. I mean, look, if they end up, these voters end up being swing voters, shifting over to Democrats, then yeah, there is a chance that this could blow up in Republicans' faces. That said, what you have here is a party, the Democratic Party, also not being all that popular. I mean, yes, Republicans and Trump are very unpopular, but so are the Democrats. It pox on both of their houses, what a lot of voters are saying. Okay? And they're unpopular for different reasons. Obviously, a lot of people hate what Trump's doing right now, but they look at Democrats and think, well, you're barely fighting against this stuff. So does that mean you're in favor of this stuff too? You're barely putting up a fight. I mean, you're not really going against those policies all that much. And more importantly, they're not putting forward bold progressive policies that the voters actually like. You know, because the whole owner-donor thing, you have a lot of Democratic Party donors that are going against people like, for example, Zoran Mamdani. Yeah. In fact, you have the party that is going after him. Look, Mamdani has a really, really good chance of becoming mayor of New York City. And that is despite massive attacks from the Democratic establishment. Democratic leadership is refusing to endorse him. They're going after him from what is it? Globalize the intifada. He never said that. But they continue to be like, what did you mean by globalize the intifada? I didn't say that. Never said that. What are you talking about? You guys are weird. I'm just trying to make things cheaper for New Yorkers. Okay? That's it. I want to make your lives better. And the establishment's like, I can't have that. Because that will make our donors lose money. No. Look, there's another problem, though, with this, with holding out hope that the Gerrymander will hurt Republicans. You see, Trump won all 30 GOP-leaning seats created by the new map by at least 10 points or more. That map does not meaningfully dilute existing Republican-held districts. So, in reality, maybe only 4 of those new districts might end up being competitive. That's not good. Now, it is possible that Democrats and Texas residents could bring a Voting Rights Act complaint in federal court against this map. However, that has its own challenges. And for example, any case against this map is likely to run into the hostile Fifth Circuit, which is massively pro-Republican, pro-Trump. And if it manages to get past that, or if they go around that and take it to the Supreme Court, well, I mean, Supreme Court, they already have that too. So that's not good. Not looking good at all. I think the best that the Democrats could hope for, and this is what they're doing, okay, is to engage in a gerrymandering arms race, which has its own issues. In California, for example, Governor Gavin Newsom has already said that he's looking at ways to get around the state's constitutional amendment requiring districts to be drawn by an independent commission. Not good. Senator Chris Van Hollen of Maryland has also proposed that his home state of Maryland follow suit and eliminate the state's only GOP-held seat. Again, not good. Worst case scenario here. Both parties are going to gerrymander the hell out of their own districts and their own states. That has the ultimate problem of diluting the votes of minorities and getting us to a system where both parties are no longer representing the people. They're instead picking the voters that are most likely to vote for them instead of actually having to compete on their ideas and the merits. That's not good at all. In fact, I think that's going to only do more to hasten the end of our system of government, which I'm against doing that. And so seeing that the Democrats are more than willing to engage in doing this themselves, I get why some Democrats might be in favor of this, right? Democratic voters and being like, well, we got to do something to fight against the Republicans. Yeah, I get that. But ultimately, you're going to shoot yourself in the foot and shoot the country in the foot. So I don't know how to properly be able to fight against this. I just wish that we hadn't gotten ourselves into this kind of position in the first place. Too late for that. So I guess we're going to have to figure out a way out of this where we can actually save the country and have, I don't know, good representation again. I would guess the first way is to get money out of politics, and make sure that, yes, we protect voting rights, restore the Voting Rights Act. But in order to do at least some of those things, we actually have to have control of Congress. And, well, that's kind of the problem with this whole thing. Not good. Not good at all. Okay. Well, that's all I've got for y'all today. Sorry I don't have any good news, but there never really is good news anymore. All right. Thank you all for tuning in. Please like and share the stream if you haven't already. Support the channel. Support us here by going to our Patreon, patreon.com/JeffWaldorf, or signing up to become a member on our YouTube channel or on Facebook or on Twitch. You can also send super chats. Thank you to Timo Lynch, sorry if I said your name wrong, for the very kind 10 euros. So appreciate that. Appreciate our domestic and foreign viewers for tuning in, seeing the shit show that is America these days. I tell you what, if you're living in one of those other countries, you're probably thinking you're lucky stars that you ain't America right now. But guess what? If you're not careful, it could happen to you. It's one of the biggest lessons you should remember here is that, yeah, things might be better somewhere else. But we thought in America that it couldn't happen here, and it absolutely could. And, well, we're proof. We're proof of that. And if you pay attention, you can see exactly how it happened. Okay. B-Man 29397 says, Israel support via kiss of death for Dems going forward in primaries. Thank goodness. Finally. The post-polling on Mamdani's win in national polls finds Democratic voters have a negative view on Israel. It has been years in the making, but Israel has finally made it so that supporting them, or at least supporting what they're doing in Gaza right now, is a death knell. And look, the establishment Democrats, they're starting to catch on real slowly, but they're starting to catch on and to realize that, supporting a genocide, supporting ethnic cleansing, turns out not such a good thing after all. Might be a little, too little, too late. Okay. We need real representation, says Reed Pooley for Congress. People who actually listen to the people, leaders who fight to get rid of corporate money in politics. Yeah, that would be nice. We do need that, and it would be great to see more of that. Okay, everybody, thank you all. Love you, and remember, change begins with you. We'll see you back here tomorrow, same time, same place.